Good morning, I'm Ilka Oster.
Morning, I'm Jo Drennan. Are your expectations as a parent sucking the joy and energy out of you?
I remember when my kids were about 6, 8 and 10 going to a Don Tolman seminar, and many of you might know him, and he was telling the audience how in his family they only ever ate a celebratory meal once a month. The rest of the time there was an abundance of fruit and vegetables and all sorts of amazing foods that anyone could just help themselves to, and it was just the most amazing paradigm shift that happened in my mind hearing that, because I couldn't imagine at the time what that would have been like how easy that must be and how joyful that must be.
How was it for you? If this was such a huge paradigm shift, tell us what it looked like for you.
Well, at that time, my husband was working long hours in our business, and even that, finding out when he might be home at night. I'm not particularly into cooking that much, so I'm doing something that I don't particularly love. I am trying to organise children to be sitting at the table because this is what I thought was going to make us a happy family. This is very stressful to get them all at the table at the same time, get my husband there, all sit down, I'm in my mind, the worst part is the expectation I have that, we'll all sit there and we'll communicate happily and joyfully, and it'll be a lovely time for the family to eat together. And that would rarely happen. There would be arguments and things would happen where it just became even more stressful. So yeah.
Where did your expectation come from? Is that how it was for you as a child?
Yes, probably. We mostly sat around the table to eat dinner, so I was just carrying that forward to my own family without really thinking too much about whether that served me or worked for me. It was just carrying on a habit. And also this expectation that, romancing that one day this will be a happy event. It'll just all be like amazing.
Well, that probably goes close to answering my next question, because I'm thinking, why do you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and it ends up the same way?
It's expecting a different result. Yes, the definition of insanity is to do that, and really it was totally insane to do that. Yeah.
So why do we do that? Keep doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, I think expectation is a huge part of it, and this romancing this expectation that, one day it will work out, and maybe it does come from building that habit that, and even as a child, expecting that, having expectations around what sitting around with your mum and dad would be like, and so keeping this whole thing going in a way that's not really working. And when I started to shift out of that towards the more Don Tolman style, it created so much ease and so much much more lightness of being for everybody. And the thing that I really wanted, which was that for us all to be having fun and connecting and just being joyful in ourselves, that started to happen when I took away some of the stress that I was feeling around making meals and getting everyone to sit in the same place and all of that. So, yeah.
So for our parents out there, if they're in a similar situation, what can they do to make a change here?
Yeah, and it may not be around meals, it might be something totally different, but it's about asking questions. Can I do this differently? Is this, am I doing this just because it was the way it was done for me as a child? And is there a happier way to do it, or a way that serves me better to do this? And just by leaving a little bit of space for that answer to arise, you might find yourself somewhere like I was Because I think I would have been asking these questions, and maybe that's why Don turned up in my life, and I got someone to tell me there was a different way. Yeah, which normally happens if you ask questions. Bless you.
Thank you. I had an expectation that I wouldn't sneeze during this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and be great if you know someone who may be stressing themselves and not necessarily needing to do that. Please share like this and share it with them, because we can make change. We can make things easier when we begin to ask ourselves better questions.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week from Mooloolaba Beach.